do you stand against apartheid? Like everyone says, someday we're all going to have to stand before the Lord and answer to whatever. And I always kind of like been able to envision that, like we're all either going to stand in line and wait our turn or whatever, but it's like we're all going to have to answer to whatever. It's like, so what is the question? Like, is there going to be one question that we're all going to have to answer? Or is it going to be a whole bunch of unique questions for each one of us? Of course, God can handle that, right? Of course. But I imagine God would be a little more organized. So I figure there's probably like this one God question, kind of like, and I don't think it's, do you believe in me? Everyone, at least me, that's like, pretty much you have to believe in Jesus. That's the way I was raised. If you don't believe in Jesus, you don't get to go to heaven. But do you stand against apartheid? That's the most important question to answer. And a lot of us, especially here in the United States, we don't have the time to even research and know exactly what's going on in the Middle East. Like a lot of us can't even figure out like the difference between a Saudi Arabian and a Palestinian. Sorry, I'm not racist. I was just raised an American. And I'm sorry for that. I'm a fundamentalist American though, like the way we was trained, growing up, at least, us that was born in the late 1900s, we were trained to, like to do good, and we're always, standing up, for the right stuff, and, calling an American, we'll help you, we'll travel to other countries and give all the kids candy, because we're the best people in the world, right? That's what we were, we were raised to be proud of that. You can imagine, my heartbreak whenever I grow up and actually see this international catastrophe that the United States is to this planet. I mean, it's kind of like losing, it's like when your girlfriend breaks up with you and it's like you actually want to cry. Like I feel like that because I've always been patriotic and love my country and believe that it's the best country in the world. I believe it is the best country in the world. I just believe that it hasn't operated the way it was designed to operate for a long time, probably so long that we don't even know the difference. Do you stand against apartheid? The one question. So, God's got how many billions of people that he's got to go through? Oh, no, that's just the amount of people that's alive now. He's still got all those other billions from the past that are still waiting to answer the question too. And you want to answer that question now. You want to take the time and answer that question now, because you don't want to have to figure it out when you're standing in front of God and he says, did you stand against apartheid? You're going to be like, what the heck is apartheid? You know what I mean? And if you ain't got the time to figure that out now, then God's not going to have the time to make a decision about you, and that's going to be, that would feel pretty lame, like you're over here in this other line now and God never even looks over in that direction. You guys are just going to wait in line forever. But where was Jesus born? Well, baby Jesus, he was born in Bethlehem, right? Where's Bethlehem? What country's Bethlehem in? Palestine. It wasn't called Palestine back then, Ricky, right? It wasn't called Palestine back then, Ricky, right? No. It was Israel. That's always been Israel. Since before 1948, whenever it was called Israel. But, fine, call it Israel. It's been Israel. Bethlehem's in Israel then, fine. How come Israel doesn't call Bethlehem theirs, though? How come they want the Palestinians to have it? How come they never wanted Bethlehem? Israel does not believe in baby Jesus. Israel Judaism. I respect, and actually I like the Orthodox Jews. Like, as human beings, they're like some of the best human beings in the world. They're wise, and they're always fair. They're completely different from a Zionist nationalist person. I bless Israel. God bless Israel. Do you stand against apartheid? Apartheid is where they corral everybody up over here. They take everyone's rights away, and you're not allowed to travel, not allowed to do anything. And they make you stay over there, and you don't, have any rights to do anything. That's apartheid. And just the action of committing apartheid, that breaks how many commandments? So I think that's the reason that I mean it might break all the commandments. I mean, like, even do not lust, you know what I mean? Like the people behind the land grab in Israel / Palestine, they want that land so bad. That's lusting right there. You know what I mean? So, I mean, do you stand against apartheid? You want to answer that now before you're forced to answer it in front of God. And, but yeah, Bethlehem, Palestine. So Jesus was a Palestinian. If he was born today, he'd be a Palestinian, because Israel doesn't want Bethlehem, because they don't believe in Jesus. And they don't even believe Mary was a virgin. And I don't know what in the world would a whole bunch of Christian organizations be doing, standing with Israel as they're bombing Jesus's people. We're all Jesus's people, right? I mean, no one gets to claim him specifically, but Israel doesn't claim Jesus whatsoever, at all. They don't even believe in, like, Armageddon's coming soon, like all of us Christians, and even atheist Americans, actually fantasize about Armageddon. You know what I mean? Like, because that's how fundamentally Christian we are. You know what I mean? But we don't take the time to stand up and say that the way the Palestinians have been locked into Gaza for almost 2 decades. They've been literally trapped there. 2.3 million people in Gaza. 48% of that is kids under the age of 18. Locked up for over 16 years. So 48% of 2.3 million is about 1 million people, 1 million kids that have never seen outside of Gaza. Gaza is like 25 miles long, and it's 2 miles wide in some spots, up to like 7 miles wide in some spots. So it's literally it's the size of a regular city with that many people in it. Half of them are children being bombed. And Jesus actually is closer to those people, than he is to the United States of Americans. You know what I mean? Like, because if he was born today, he'd be a Palestinian. Would all these Christian organizations be supporting Israel if they were bombing Palestine during the celebration of Jesus' birth? I mean, you know what? I bet you anything this year, this Christmas, ain't nobody going to be talking about Bethlehem. We don't want to actually point out that Bethlehem's in Palestine. We wouldn't want that to happen. And, and every time I point out that Judaism and Israel, and they don't believe in Jesus, everybody, like, wants me to be quiet. They all want me to shut up. Like, even preachers and Christian folks, like, they act like I'm committing some sort of sin by saying Judaism doesn't believe in Jesus. They literally denounce Jesus as the Messiah. And why do Christians literally have the courage to stand next to the only Abrahamic religion, from Abraham, comes down all this stuff. We're, Christians are part of it. And so is Islam and Judaism. And these are all Abrahamic religions. Islam believes in Jesus. They called him Isa or something like that. Born of a virgin, son of Mary. They also said something about him being flat-footed or something like that. Whatever that means. I mean, I'm flat-footed. It kind of hurts right now. But Judaism doesn't believe in Jesus. They're kind of like the Old Testament part of our Bible is their Bible. Pretty much the Quran is kind of like the Old Testament. The New Testament with the Gospels, and it's about Jesus and stuff, that's not part of Judaism, and they don't believe that Jesus was the Messiah. Which means that they're still waiting for, their prophesied, person to come. Islam believes that Isa, Jesus, is going to come back. And I can't pronounce, what they called the Antichrist, but their name for the Antichrist. So that's who the Muslims are. The Muslims are literally a different culture, speaking a different language than Americans, that believe the same stuff pretty much that we do. I mean, there's some differences, like they, for some reason, they can't believe that Jesus was killed. All right. So they believe that the Jesus that everybody saw on the cross was magic, was Judas. I think they think it was Judas or something. And God basically took Jesus up, to heaven, the way Christians believe that, his body was gone from the grave. Like, nobody ever could find Jesus after that. You know what I mean? So there are some differences, but I mean, who cares what the little differences are? We believe that, all this magical stuff too. So what the heck is the problem with Muslims having a little tiny bit different version of what happened to Jesus's body? That's the main difference. They don't believe that Jesus was even, able to be killed. You know what I mean? So God basically took him up before the crucifixion so that, because he's all powerful. I mean, God wouldn't let that happen, right? I mean, I can almost agree. I mean, who cares? Am I going to go to hell if I agree that Jesus might have, been saved or been risen up before? Oh, God's going to hold that one against me while you guys are all supporting apartheid. You know what I mean? Give me a break. And so Christianity and Islam are both know who Jesus Christ is. They are both waiting for him to return to kick the Antichrist's butt. What in the world would an Antichrist be? Who would it be? How many are there? Well, that's kind of strange. The apartheid state of Israel is, at its core, it's Judaism, and they don't believe in Jesus. Now, I don't know about you guys. That almost sounds like they're anti-Christian. And guess what? We're not even allowed to talk about it. We're called anti-Semitic and stuff. If we talk about the fact that they don't believe in Jesus, and we're not even allowed to agree or side with, I'm probably on an FBI list now because I am advocating for Islam and the Muslims who have been being mistreated for decades and decades and decades. It would be un-American to not stand up and say that's not right. The mistreatment of them. Who cares what color their skin is? Who cares if they have something on their head wrapped up? Keep them from getting sunburned. That ain't right to mistreat people. Doesn't matter if they're Arabs. All right? Arabs are Christianity's brothers and sisters. Yeah, they're different. You're different. Matter of fact, your values and qualities suck. Most of you. I know because I'm one of you. So I believe Jesus stands against apartheid. I believe that God's against apartheid too. You remember the Jews in Egypt? Remember what happened? You know, the Egyptians had the Jews enslaved. Wouldn't let them, do anything. Wouldn't let them go anywhere. Sounds kind of familiar, right? Like the Palestinian situation. Do you guys remember what God done to them Egyptian, captors? The plagues, the mental discombobulation, literally messed up their thinking so bad that they gave their possessions to the slaves and let them leave, let them walk out. And then once their heads came back on, screwed on straight, they were like, what the heck? And they go after them. And the Jews are like, oh my goodness, they've changed their mind. They're going to come and take all their possessions back and kick our butts again. And God was like, I don't think so. Caused an earthquake and the tsunami, started to come in. The waters receded. The Jews ran across the lake just in time for the waters to come in, that tsunami to come in and take all those Egyptians for a swim. Now, it took them a long time to swim back up, but the Jews was already gone. Oh wait, no, I guess they was all killed. Yeah, so that's what God does to the people who commit apartheid. That's how God, feels about apartheid. That's where he stands on it, right? Unless he was just having a bad day that day and decided to let the Jews out, go free. No, I think God's against apartheid. Jesus is against apartheid. And I think that all Christians should be, and so should all Americans. And the United States of America has literally smeared all of our faces in the way it conducts itself. It is not the honorable Christian country that it has waged war as. Like, how many people, Christians, have our government convinced that just because those people don't believe in Christianity or something, that they're bad people, and who cares if they're getting bombed? How many people live that life today? Our military is practically fully, comprised of Christian people. Like Christian kids. We want to be heroes. Heck yeah, man, we'll do that. We'll die for our Christian, good American causes. But we've been being lied to, tricked into thinking that we were fighting for a Christian cause. We are killing people that believe in Jesus and are waiting for him to return, just like Christians. How many Americans know that Islam and Muslims and those Arabs are just darker Christians that wear different clothes? How many people know that? Well, I'm probably not going to be allowed to spread this disease. You know why? Because the Antichrist is here. And he's got himself a good grip. He's got himself a good foothold. To be honest, I don't think there's a way out of this. I think just like, all the fairy tales and all them little stories, before bed about Armageddon, I believe that it's probably right here on our doorstep, and basically we're just being given just enough time to decide whether or not we stand against apartheid. Do you have the courage to stand against the apartheid state of Israel or any other organization? Or how about, what if the United States of America began to commit apartheid? Get rid of all the people they don't like by taking away their rights. We've already been losing our rights. They've been slowly stripping us of our rights, like they've even been kind of corralling certain people. Like there's only certain states that you can actually own a collection of firearms, or certain states that you can get an abortion or have, and there was a time not that long ago you weren't even allowed to travel without a pass, without a health ID thing. I don't know if I'm allowed to say. I probably said all the wrong words already anyways. Do you stand against apartheid? Remix Brothers. Stand with Jesus and Christianity against apartheid.